that. All right, we're heading over to Hamden now, where last night the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Connecticut and Western Massachusetts hosted their 34th annual gala at the starting gate at GreatHorse. The evening featured cocktails, dinner, dancing, and inspiring stories from those who have been supported by Ronald McDonald House Charities and their programs. At last year's gala, the charity announced the launch of a family room at Bay State Hospital to help assist families during treatment. That program opened in October of 2024, and Michelle DeMore, she's the chief executive to be exact, officer of Ronald McDonald House Charities of Connecticut and Western Mass. She shared the importance of the new program for families.
This program allows us to assist even more families with the daily struggle and stress of having their child in the hospital. I want to thank our Bay State partners who are with us this evening for your shared vision in providing families with compassion and care as they navigate their medical journey.
Well, the annual gala helps raise funds for Ronald McDonald House Charities of Connecticut and Western Massachusetts families to receive lodging, meals, and daily necessities during medical treatments, as well as new programs such as that family room. So congratulations to all of them. Well, we're well within the first 100 days of President Donald Trump's second term at the White House, almost close to the end of his first 100 days. And those 100 days are finishing at the end of this month.